poll shows President Biden is facing concerns about a lot of things, really, but his age is one of them, and perhaps just his ability to do the job more so than his age, which is 80. More than half of Democrats and independents leaning that way say they're seriously concerned that his age might negatively affect his physical and mental competence, his ability to win the 2024 general election and to serve another term. And 2/3 of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents say that the party should nominate someone else other than President Biden. Let's bring in Kellyanne Conway, former senior counselor to President Trump, now president of KA Consulting and a Fox News contributor. Kellyanne, always good to have you with us. Thank you very much for being here. It's also interesting that when they took the people who said that they want someone other than Biden and said, who do you want? They just said anybody. We don't really care. We just want anybody except the current president. What do you think the response is from the White House? Because I saw an Obama advisor on another channel earlier saying, don't worry about all this. You know, President Obama had pressure on him in the polls when it was this time. And, you know, when push comes to shove, they're all going to show up and vote for Joe Biden.
Martha, I've been doing this for over 30 years, polling. I have never seen a president so beleaguered, by his own party, who are outwardly talking about replacing him. They are questioning his ability and his agility just to do the job that they put him in. And I've never seen so many negatives visited upon one president. Let's just quickly review. In this latest CNN poll that you are quoting, and you're showing Democratic figures there,
right,
we see a couple of things. Number one, Joe Biden is losing to every Republican candidate in a head-to-head matchup.
Put that up. We have that. We can put that up on the screen. Let's take a look at that. Okay.
Thank you. Except Vivek. And he's tied with Ron DeSantis, which means the sitting president of the United States cannot crack 50% against any of them. Number two, so the electability argument is gone for him. Number two, the mental fitness question. In addition to just straight up mental fitness and the acuity, the other questions talking about his stamina are bad for him. So it's not just age, it's the ability to do the job. And most times when we see Joe Biden right now, he's stumbling and mumbling and bumbling, or he's on vacation. So people are very upset. Many Americans could not take a summer vacation this year with their families. They can't afford to because of the Biden economy. And he seems to be on an endless vacation.
Okay.
I thought one of the more devastating things in the poll for Joe Biden are the personal attributes. 55% say he doesn't care about people like me. We had a rare moment of tripartisan agreement in this country. Majority of independents, Democrats, and Republicans all don't want Joe Biden to be president.
So, you know, there's a lot of numbers in here, and you mentioned them. One, does the president inspire confidence in you? That one, he had 47% 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, 72% say that he does not inspire confidence. And listen to this from David Axelrod, who's never really been a big supporter of Joe Biden. I remember he called him Mr. Magoo wandering around the debate stage during the primaries. But here's what he's saying now.
I think this is in Joe Biden's hands, and he has to decide whether he can complete this task and win this election and prevent what many people fear would be a disaster for the country. And if not, then he should step aside.
What do you make of that?
That's pretty devastating coming from President Obama's, one of his two chief architects of his win in 2008, where Joe Biden was the vice president.
And chief of staff, too, yeah.
And he's sitting on set, by the way. He's on camera with Kate Bedingfield, who just came out of the White House as Biden's communication director, the same position she had on the campaign. So even closest friends and allies are worried about the future of the party in Joe Biden's hands. But you know what's fascinating to me, Martha? Two quick things. One is you never hear these Democrats say, semicolon, and we're really happy Kamala Harris is ready to do the job. Americans don't agree. She herself is basically the only person who has said it. The only person who thinks Kamala is ready is Kamala. If she were remotely ready, they'd kick him out. Last thing, CNN still running polling questions like this when they know the data are going to be against Biden is the most curious part of the entire poll for me. Because we all know CNN wants a Democratic president. I dare them to disprove me based on their coverage. Why are they running poll questions about Joe Biden's age and mental fitness and capacity and electability and acuity? It's very curious to me. This week was the first time I, former campaign manager and counselor, believe that the Democrats are inching closer to not having Biden on the ticket. I've not bought into that until this week.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Let's put back up the matchup that we had on the wall that shows Joe Biden against these Republican candidates. So you mentioned, I mean, it's pretty interesting that he's even with DeSantis, but Nikki Haley, and he's +1 for the former president. Nikki Haley +6. And they've gone after her a bit. I've only got 15 seconds to respond to that one.
She had a good debate. She had some good moments. And people they do want a female president, but they don't want it to be Kamala Harris. And so, but I think the big story here for Joe Biden is that he can't get anywhere close to 45, let alone 50 against any of them.
Okay. And you have been polling for a long time. Kellyanne, great to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.